to Read a Book was first published in the early months of 1940s. To my surprise, and I confess to my delight, it has immediately become a bestseller and remained at the top of nationwide bestseller list for more than a year. Since 1940, it has continued to be widely circulated in numerous printings, both hardcover and paperback, and it has been translated into other languages: French, Swedish, German, Spanish, and Italian. Why then attempts to recast and rewrite the book for the present generation? The reasons for doing so lie in changes that has taken place in both our societies in the last 30 years, that has in the subjects itself. Today, many more of the young men and women who complete high school enter the complete 4 years of college. A much proportion of the population has become literate in spite of even because of the popularity of radio television, and that has been a shift of interest from reading of fiction to the reading of nonfiction. The educators of the country has acknowledged that teaching the young to read is the most elementary sense of that word. It's our paramount educational problem. A recent Secretary of Department Health, Education and Welfare, designating the 70s as the decade of reading, has dedicated federal funds in supporting of a wide variety of efforts improve the proficiency in this basic skill, and many of those efforts and the scores and some succeed at the level which children are initiated into the art of reading. In addition, adults in large numbers have captivated by the glittering promises made by speed reading courses promises to increase their comprehension of that read as well as other speed in reading it. However, certain things have not changed in the last 30 years. More constant in that to achieve that in purposes of reading, the desideratum Desideratum must be ability to read the different things at different appropriate speed, and not every at greatest possible speed. As Pascal observed 300 years ago, when we read too fast or too slow, we understand nothing. The speed reading has become the national fad. This is new addition of how to read a book deals with the problems, purposes, variable speed reading as a solution. The aim of being reading better, always better, sometimes slower, sometimes faster. Another thing that has changed, unfortunately, is the failure carrying instruction in reading beyond elementary level. Most of our educators' ingenuity, money, and effort is spent on the reading instruction in the first 6 years. Beyond that, the formal training is provided to carrying students to higher and quite distinctive level of skill that was true in 1939 and was Professor James Marshall of Columbia University Teachers College's write an article of the Atlantic Monthly entitled "The Failure of Schools" when he said then, the two paragraphs that I have now going to quote is still true. Do people in school learn to read this mother tongue effectively? Yes and no, but up to the 5th, 6th grade, reading on the whole is effectively taught as well learned. To that level, we found a steady general improvement, and beyond the curve flattened out a great deal of level. This is not because of a person arrive of his natural limit of efficiency when he reaches the 6th grade, for it has been shown again and again that spatial tuition in older children and well adults can enormously improve. Nor it does mean that the most 6th graders to read well enough for practical purposes. A great many pupils do poorly in high school because of their sheer inaptitude in gaining meanings from the printed page. They can improve, they can read, they need to improve, but they don't. The average high school graduate has done a great deal of reading, and if he goes to the high college, he will do a great deal more, but he is likely to do poor incompetent reader. Not like this whole truth. Average students, not a person, is subject to special remedial treatment. He has follow simple pieces of fiction and enjoy it, but put him against a close exposure, a certain economical status argument or passages. It has been shown, for instance, the average high school student is amazingly inept at indicating the eccentrical thought of a passage, or for the level of emphasis and subordination in an argument or exposition. To all the intents and purposes, he remains a sixth grade reader till well along in college. It has been shown, for instance, the average high school student is amazingly inept, indicating the essential thoughts of a passage, or a level of emphasis on a subordinate in arguments of exposition. To all intents and purposes, remains a sixth grade reader till